Today is very important because based on today's lecture and today's training program, you are going to cover the other 4 lectures, follow-up lectures. And today we are going to try to load a library called pandas, and then we'll try to import files from your own file system, and then we'll deal with actual data sets to calculate carbon budget of each country. But these carbon budget numbers are at the moment is just fake numbers. We are trying to just understand how this Python actually work, how we deal with numbers and data set. So far, we covered very different various topics. First, we covered variables, and we also covered type of uh, variables and functions, loop, and conditional, and I don't know, some displaying like print. And also we did some calculation when we try to make a function as well. And we are going to do all of these together at one, as just one exercise. So first, we are going to create a login check. I'm pretty sure this was your homework, and I'm not sure if everyone did it, but am I sharing? Yeah, am I sharing correct? Right, no problem. So we are going to make a function that we can check if the ID, so username and password is correct. And if both matches, either this function will print out welcome. If not, it will print out access denied, right? So this function definitely will get 2 parameters. One is username and another is password. And then we'll test if both are matched with already stored variable using if statement and AND operator. We are going to do it here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how I do this approach, how I do this, how I build this function, and you can do it on your own. We'll give you about 5 minutes later. We'll give you about 5 minutes later after I finish this. Okay, so just follow me, and we are going to make a function called diff. Thank you so much. I always forget it. Is it big enough? Okay, we are going to make a function called um, login test, and then this will get username. You don't need to do it at the moment, just look at it, and then I will give you enough time to do it. And then password. So again, we call this username and password as parameter, or sometimes some people call it argument, but parameter is a correct one, but I usually mix them. So sometimes I say argument, sometimes I say parameters. So what is the parameter that need to be? So let's check if username is, say, Changyan, and we want to check if password is correct. Password is too simple one, but I would say just 1, 2, 3, 4. Always don't forget the colon. Then print correct. Correct is not the best one, but and then again we can just say elif username is Sangyan and password is not 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I will print wrong password. And then if that's not the case, I would like to want to print access denied. So how does this work? So first, this function called login will receive 2 parameters, username and password. And then first, it will check the condition if username is 상현, then and if password is 1234, then it will print correct, right? And elif means else if username is still 상현 and password is not. So here, what this exclamation, whatever, this means is not. So basically, this literally is saying is not. This is another way actually you can do it. But when you have only one variable, usually you use this. So if it is not if it is not 1234, whatever else, then it will display wrong password. And then in the end, both are not correct. Both, if there is a case, both if if both are not the case, then it will just print out access denied, right? Let's see if that works. And we want to call this function login. We know the name 상현, and then we will know the password as well, and then we will run it. Give me 1 second, I need to run it. It's running. It says correct, right? So we have the correct one. Let's try to something different. Now we have 1234 without quotation mark. If we run it, it says wrong password. It's still 1234, but what's the difference? The big difference is in this case, we have quotation mark, which means it's a string, right? In this case, we don't have quotation mark, which means this is integer. So rather than this is not just 1234, but this is actually 1234. So this is integer. So integer and text are different. Of course, you can change this. For example, if password is something like this, then you can change it to string. However, we are not going to do it at the moment here. And then we are going to change this number, change our ID to who do I have here? I have Sana on my screen, so I'm going to use her name. And then if we say it, if we try to log in, it says access denied because username is not correct and password is not correct as well, right? So it doesn't go into elif. The condition of if doesn't match, and condition of this elif also doesn't match. So the last one is everything else is going to access denied, right? So now we are going to make the same function on your own. We'll give you about 3 minutes from now to do it on your own. And please thumbs up if you finished it. And if you have any question, let us know. Actually, let me know because Uni is not here today. perfect. Already we have one person, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shano, for sharing your code. Let me see this code together. So this is what actually Hyunwoo made. As you can see here, it's all correct, right? Login and username and password, right? And then we can test login using Sangyeon, and then definitely it will print out access denied. Okay. This is how we actually use function and conditionals. Now we are going to jump into the another loop. So there are two different types of loop. One is for loop, which which you need to decide where to start and when to end. For example, you can say start from 0 for 5 times, or start from A until Z. But there is another one which is called while here. While runs until this statement is true. So in this case, let's make this one. I'm going to explain this first and then going to do the exercise together. Okay. First, we define x as 0, or we allocate 0 to x, right? So when we test this statement, x is 0, right? So this statement becomes true. I said while runs only when the statement is true, right? So it will print out 0. And then we have a slightly strange one, x plus equal 1. This means this is the same with x equals x plus 1, right? But we can make it shorter by writing it like this. At the end of this while loop, we add 1 to x, right? So now x becomes 1, still true. So print display 1, and then add 1 again, display 2, until it becomes false. When x becomes 5, 5 cannot be smaller than 5, right? So it doesn't do anything. It doesn't actually go into the loop at all. Let's try it together. We have x, which is 0. Let me zoom in a little more. And then we are going to run while x is below 10. What we want to do is just print x. Then what we need to do is x 1. Or maybe we can just do it x is x plus 1. And then we can run it. See here, we have number from 0 to 9. What if we don't have this? What is going to happen? Anyone can guess on the chat what is going to happen if we don't have x equals x plus 1? Yep, that's correct. So it's printing out zeros a lot until, yeah, indefinitely, forever, basically. So that's very common bug that you can make quite easily. So you need to be careful. But I would advise you not to use while unless you must use it. It's not the best way to make a code because the code becomes a little too difficult to understand when you need to debug or when you need to understand how this code works, actually you need to remove the entire for loop or whatever the loop, and then you need to understand it line by line. But if you have while, it becomes a bit tricky to understand. So next, we are going to do for loop with conditional. Here. So of course we can mix loop and conditions all together. So in this case, we have numbers, we have nums, and as a list, and it has value 1, 3, 6, and 9, right? For each value of the list, for num in nums, that means each value of the list called nums, go through each and then say divide it by 2 and then check if the remainder is 0 or not. So this percent is basically a operator which find the remainder, right? In case of 4 divided by 2 has 2, of course its answer is 2 and there is no remainder, right? Remainder is 0 in this case. However, if it's 3, then it becomes 1. I don't like this AI. Plus 0.5, right? So this 0.5 becomes the remainder. In this case, if the remainder is 0, which is even, and if it's not, it's odd number, right? Print it out. So let's do it. Can you just do this together? Then I will do it line by line, and then do it on your own computer, and then see if you are making exactly the same algorithm. Nums equals 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. For num in nums, you may already notice that there is no s here, but here is s, but with the same like variable number. This is sort of a Python convention. When you have a list of a value, usually you add s. For example, in this case, like if I want to say integer integer, then say integers, and then usually you use the known without s to represent each value. It's sort of, you don't need to follow this rule, but this is how usually Python programmers does. And then what we need to do is x, or let's say just n, is num divided by 2. And then if n is 0, then we will print something like this. Yes. You may notice something different with the previous print. We have f here. If you have f where in front of all those quotation mark, you can actually add any variables in the sentence using this curly bracket. If you don't have f, you can't. No, this entire sentence is considered as string. However, if you have f, any variable names inside of curly bracket or anything inside of curly bracket is considered as variable. We have error. Now we solved it. If we run it, 1 is odd, 3 is odd, but 6 is even, and 9 is odd. I will wait just 1 minute, and then please thumb up if you have done, and let me know if you have any question.